Well, currently, yes, because the note verbal that we received from the Kuwaiti embassy indicated that there will be a suspension of all visas to Filipino nationals. However, the fact is there have been very few visas issued for tourists or the business sector because the vast majority of Filipinos going to Kuwait are actually going there as workers. So right now, it's not really the main concern here. But perhaps that's the first, one among the very first items that we'd want to raise with the Kuwaitis if I can use the vernacular of Filipino, wag naman idamay pati turista, no? So that's something we could examine. But one concern of the Kuwaitis as well is that many times they come to the Philippines, they come from the Philippines to Kuwait in order to stay there as undocumented workers and work. So at any rate, kasama sila.
Sir, ano po mangyayari dun sa mga those who are currently working in the country? Is employment suspended for them, or does this affect those who come home? Makakabalik po ba sila dyan sa Kuwait?
The trick is, according to our ambassador there in Kuwait, as long as you have your civil ID, your Kuwaiti civil ID, your Ikama, that's your residence permit, meaning to say you've already arrived, you've already started working, you can go back. Ang hindi pwede, yung first-timers. Those will only be arriving in Kuwait for the first time to work. They may not be allowed in, and certainly there will be no new visas issued for any kind of worker. So at least for the 279,000 or so Filipinos in Kuwait, those with the necessary Kuwaiti documents can travel in and out of Kuwait. There are about 5,000 Filipinos there who are undocumented, so to speak. Obviously, they are working without visas. There's no effect of the crackdown. The Kuwaitis have had a crackdown against illegal aliens for some time. But that's not the main issue now. It's about deployment in the future, and also how to come up with a mutually beneficial solution here through diplomatic means.
Are we confident po that we'll come to a resolution regarding the issue? May compromises po ba tayong kailangan gawin?
Well, yes, of course. When you negotiate as diplomats, you have to enter into some compromises. But we'll be clear on this. No, we'll have a team going to Kuwait next week. That's the plan. It was already scheduled even before the surprise announcement. DFA and DMW and OWA will be there. We cannot compromise on certain items which are already mandated under our law and which are essential for the protection of our kababayans, such as the operation for shelters. Kuwait so far is the only country which has complained about their presence. There are shelters in other Middle Eastern countries, and we come to a modus vivendi in sort of amicable agreement with the host country to allow them to operate. Also, we will not simply lift our suspension of deployment of household workers until we first see some improvement, or we could be assured of some change in the conditions for our workers, for our household workers, given, you mentioned the gruesome, heinous crime committed against Ms. Ranara. And if the family is watching us today, I'd like to reiterate that we will continue our search for justice. After all, the Kuwaitis, to their credit, have already arrested the suspect and have charged him, and the trial is ongoing. But nevertheless, we cannot simply just lift the suspension now in order to convince the Kuwaitis to in turn lift their suspension of visas for other workers. Because if we do that, then what will other countries, especially in the region, think? That the Philippines is easily intimidated. If you say we're not going to allow Filipinos to work anymore, okay, we're going to stop suspension of deployment, and then we'll allow them to go again.
All right, Usec De Vega.
There will be eventually compromises made, of course, but it will not be right away. We have to talk this over, and it's a start. Next week, hopefully, is a good start. These exploratory talks on where we could move forward. Hopefully, will lead to some positive results or positive outcomes, which give us confidence for the future.